Namaskar, this is my 57th lecture. Here I'm going to deal with a very important concept, the concept of Naskh in Sunni Islam. And I will go through everything I said before. I'll summarize those because I was told that I went a little bit fast and it was a little bit difficult for people to understand. But apart from that, I have made a PowerPoint which will make it easier for you to understand. Why is the doctrine of Naskh or abrogation, it's a legal term, important in the concept of jihad? We will see that. But first, let's present. And these are all older things that we talked about. So, let's go through this. This is, remember what we talked about? The word jihad comes from the Arabic word jahada, meaning strain, exertion, endeavor on behalf for the sake of something. Jihad is translated by E.W. Lane as the using or exertion of one's utmost power, efforts, endeavors, or ability in commanding with the object of disappropriation, namely a visible enemy, the devil, and one's self. And we talked about this earlier. This is the PowerPoint. I'll make it visible to all of you in the Swaka Harshita website. All right, so let's go to the next one. And we talked about this again. It's very interesting. Jihad did not come out as a result of conflict between Islam and non-believers. It came out as a result of intra-Muslim conflicts. For example, it's interesting, 661 CE, the concept of jihad evolved with intra-Muslim conflicts from the Shia Muslims in Persia or Iran. The people who started this were known as Khwarijis. Here is the PowerPoint for you to see, and I have some technical constraints, so I couldn't do it via Google Meet on my laptop. But you can see this, and I'll make this available in Swata Harshika's website. So it came out of the Khwariji clan in Persia. Why did it come out? Now you can see this clearly here. It came out as a result of revolt against the caliphate who was doing sinful act. In other words, it came about as a revolt against the king. That always happens, that he is moving away from real Islam and we have to pull him down. So it was more a revolt. And in fact, jihad, when they did this, they made it the sixth pillar of Islam. And we talked about this earlier. Again, we talked about this, but all these are repetitive, but they're important in order to understand the doctrine of abrogation or Naskh for us. So jihad bin al-saf, jihad against one's sinful inclination, jihad al-qawal, preaching of the tongue, and jihad bin al-saf, jihad of the soul. The last is the greatest jihad. The jihad of the soul is the greatest jihad, as opposed to the lesser jihad. Now, why am I stressing this? Because this is very important for us to understand the doctrine of Naskh or abrogation. And so we have to understand that the lesser jihad is the jihad al-qawal, or the preaching of the tongue, and the greater jihad is the jihad of the sword, or the military jihad. And it is said historically that the Prophet first talked about in the Meccan verses. There are lots of contradictions in the Quran, as in with all other scriptures. He talked about the lesser jihad and then the greater jihad. Now, the next one. So what is the legal interpretation of jihad? I'm going to read it and then I'm going to show it. Fi salil Allah, fighting of non-Muslims for this in the name of Islam, in the service of Allah. The legal interpretation of jihad in mainstream Sunni jurisprudence. This is no longer the Shia Khwarijis for whom jihad was against a sinful ruler, but was fighting the unbelievers, kafirs, by striking them, taking their property, demolishing the places of worship, which is what we are seeing in Bangladesh right now, smashing their idols and the like. This is clearly mentioned. P.R. Peters, Islam and Colonization, whom I've quoted before, quotes this. This is clear, absolutely. This is the traditional Sunni interpretation. Now, who are the kafirs? I've talked about this before. There are two types of kafirs. One who are people of the book. They are also monotheists, but the real fight is against the other non-believers who are whom? They are the mushriks, the idolaters. Because remember, it was an idolatry, the whole Arabia at that time. All right. So, who can legitimately declare jihad? It is very important. These are all legal terms. The imam or the ruler can legitimately declare jihad. Other jihads are not considered jihad. Okay. So what is the philosophy behind jihad? Again, I talked about this earlier. It's to establish the peaceful land or Darul Islam. The ungoverned land is the Darul Harb, in which everyone is living right now except the Muslims. And it's a process. There are in-between lands, the land of Darul Sulk and Darul Ad. And they are really governed, they are in-between lands in which there is a covenant for non-Muslims to stay under Muslims. Now, I said this in my lecture 56, that non-Muslims really cannot stay under, Muslims cannot stay under non-Muslim government, but for a temporary one, they have to stay. But here is the key. They have to continue